Hello, hello. Welcome into a brand new edition of Sports Burst alongside George D. Metellus. I'm Andres Cordero, and today on this edition of Sports Burst, we'll look ahead to Quique Setien's very first match with Barcelona against Granada this coming weekend. We're at the midpoint of the January transfer window, George, so we'll go through some of the done deals and an update. We'll chime in on Chicharito's supposed move to the LA Galaxy, plus a look at the biggest matches coming up this weekend, including, of course, Real Madrid against fourth place Sevilla and Liverpool against Manchester United. That's all coming up next on Sports Burst. Hello, what's good? Thanks for sharing part of your day with us alongside George D. Metellus. Once again, I'm Andres Cordero. This is Sports Burst, and in a moment, Jamie Easton will be joining us live from the Catalan capital as we look ahead to Quique Setien's debut with Barcelona. But do want to update you as just last night, Barcelona having a team dinner, which was Quique Setien. It's not quite the barbecue under Tata Martino, but it is a dinner at a Michelin star restaurant to get Quique Setien better acquainted with his new players. Remember, Tata Martino was ridiculed for the asados.
Yeah.
When you invite the players to a Michelin star restaurant, maybe a little bit of a different vibe.
Now, who's paying for it?
I'm assuming the club is.
The club is paying for it. Okay, because I would think that he would get more positive vibes from the players if he was paying for it. But if the club is paying for it, and it's all good, but I think he would get more favor if he was paying for it.
Maybe you could ask Jamie Easton, because joining us live from the Catalan capital is our beIN Sports Spanish football correspondent, Jamie Easton. Jamie, good to see you again. Thanks for being with us. Exciting times in Barcelona. Some question marks about how this could all go, but there does seem to be sort of a positive energy around the club. Eric Abidal said that there have been changes already under Quique Setien. What was he talking about?
Yeah, and the question is, Andres, if he sees those changes, if he emphasizes in that first press conference by Quique Setien about how much he liked those training sessions, why did it take so long to change things? Because they were seeing that those training sessions under Valverde were not what they were looking for. But that has passed away, and now Quique Setien is at the club. Not a single day off this week for Barcelona players. We have to remember that there was one day off planned under Ernesto Valverde, and Quique Setien said, "Really? Seriously? After Christmas vacation, you want another day off? No way. You were training every single day to prepare that game against Granada." And the changes you were talking about are focused on the youngsters and the young players. Quique Setien, along his career, has always done the same, looking to the B teams, to the youngster teams, and he has done the same since he arrived to Barcelona. On his first week, he went to watch the Barcelona B team playing at the Johan Cruyff Stadium. He has already spoken to Garcia Pimienta, the B team manager, and he told him literally that he will do informs, that he will be following every single case, indeed, to keep his interest in every single B player. 6 different youngsters participating in every training session, and he keeps on changing those players from the Barca B team and from the youngsters, El Juvenil A, which is called here in Spain. But there's one player that has repeated in every single training session. His name is Riqui Puig. He went to that dinner yesterday you mentioned, so he's now a 18 player, a Barcelona player, and we'll see how much it lasts.
So, Jamie, maybe part of why Riqui Puig has been involved in every training session, as you mentioned, since coming back from the vacation, is because they're going to be without Frenkie de Jong for this one after that red card in the Supercopa. Do you think there's a chance we could see Riqui Puig play in the debut of Quique Setien?
You know that is one of the things that everybody's talking here in Barcelona. It's causing intrigue. Will Riqui Puig even be a starter in the first game of Quique Setien? Because if Quique Setien arrives to Barcelona, his debut is at the Camp Nou, and Riqui Puig and Ansu Fati are starters, and Barcelona plays well, and they win, maybe he'll have a statue in the middle of Las Ramblas. So that's the scenario here in Barcelona for Quique Setien. And who knows, if he's brave, he could do that. He knows he would have very good press, and all the fans will applaud that decision.
Jamie, I wanted to ask you, now that Luis Suarez is out, that we are in the middle of the winter transfer window, I think you just mentioned the young kids coming up. Does that mean that Barca is not going to buy a striker or buy an attacking player in this winter transfer window in January?
That means that Barcelona doesn't have the money to buy a very important striker in this winter transfer market. They have the money to pay that dinner, but I think maybe Quique Setien put something from his wallet, because if not, if they could pay Michelin star dinners and they're not going for a replacement for Luis Suarez, what does that mean? Come on, let's be serious. There's no many options in the winter transfer market to replace Luis Suarez. What they won't do is go and buy another Kevin Prince Boateng. We all know how that ended. So they only want somebody that knows La Liga, has experience, and is cheap. And because that is so difficult to find right now, probably they will end being the same players they are right now. So trusting Griezmann and Messi, who can play false nine, both can. They have different characteristics. Many people in Barcelona ask Messi to be the false nine, to have total freedom of movements in the middle of the attacking line, and Ansu Fati and Carlos Perez. And remember, Dembélé is back in 2 weeks and a half, 3 weeks tops.
Man, it must be Michelin star dinner must cost more than a good striker nowadays. It seems like, yeah.
They're already spending that Todibo money before he's even moved. Jamie, one last question here, because there's a reputation that Quique Setien has for playing really attractive football, whether it was at Lugo, Las Palmas, more recently at Betis before things went sideways in his second season. But he also has a reputation for being sort of a man manager, a guy who gets along with his players. And he himself has said before he dreamed about being a Barcelona fan that he's a big fan of the likes of Busquets and Messi. Is there maybe a fear that the team needs somebody with a iron fist that can sort of put these players into shape, and that maybe Quique Setien could have too soft a hand with a team that top of the table at the moment, but things could go terribly wrong going forward?
Yeah, that's what everybody was talking about when everybody was listening to his first press conference when he was officially presented. He said again that he admired Messi, that Messi is Messi, that Busquets is Busquets. We've seen in the past how he's asked for Busquets for his T-shirt during a game, and he's published that on his social networks. But he has also promised to be tough, and they will work hard, and that is maybe the main difference regarding the Ernesto Valverde era. In fact, I've already explained how they have been training every single day. On Sunday he wants to do a tactical meeting before the game, something that is new too, and he only will give the list of the players, we've been told that, on Sunday, on match day, and that is a huge difference regarding Valverde too. So he wants everybody focused, everybody compromised, everybody in the same group, and that's why he organized the dinner. But he wants work, work, and work, and we cannot expect training sessions of touching the ball, just running and stretching. He wants to work the tactics too. So we'll have to wait and see in the next weeks if that is really an influence, and we'll see also if he's brave enough, as Valverde was this season, to sit down Busquets when he's not good, to sit down Rakitic when he's not good. So it will be very interesting to follow Quique Setien in the next games.
And to manage the legs,
right?
Because these players are all 30 and over, and part of it is sort of keeping them in shape and fresh for the business end of the season. Teams like Barcelona are typically judged by 5 to 6 games, and they all happen from here, the midpoint of the season, going forward. Right. Jamie, thanks so much for letting us into your living room. We look forward to hearing again from you this weekend. Enjoy the games.
Yeah, I'm going to call my dad now. He was lying here doing the siesta, taking a nap, and I said, quick, move, I have to go live. So I'm going to call him back.
Brilliant. Take care.
Take care, bro, Jamie. You should just take him to the Michelin star restaurant. He'll be all right.
Take his dad?
Yeah, why not? I mean, hey, his dad is worth it right there.
I don't
right?
know if Jamie has Barcelona money, though.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Our thanks, of course, to Jamie Easton. There's plenty of Spanish football to talk about this weekend in La Liga, obviously. It gets underway today with Leganés against Getafe, the historic derby, the only Spanish derby that's been played at every single level of the Spanish football pyramid. We'll talk more about that in a moment, because also the big game in La Liga is Real Madrid against Sevilla.
Ooh, that's going to be good.
Everyone has their eyes on Barcelona, Granada, of course, but Real Madrid, now the Supercopa champions, having won this new look Supercopa. And this time last season, things weren't going quite as rosy for Zidane's men. In fact, they were not under Zidane. They were under second manager of the season. Later on, Zidane would become the third. And so I think Zidane could sympathize a little bit with Ernesto Valverde. Here's what he had to say about the now former Barcelona manager.
No entiende. La única cosa, lo siento por él, primero, porque no es una buena situación. es un entrenador que de todas formas ha demostrado que es muy bueno, tengo un respeto enorme hacia él. Luego es que cada club, cada cosa, para un entrenador, un cargo de entrenador, sabemos dónde estamos, ¿sabes? Barcelona, Madrid, club grandes, es así. Y no va a cambiar, ¿sabes? No va a cambiar nada. Y para mí no va a cambiar nada también. Yo sé que si perdemos 2 partidos me van a criticar lo mismo, de la misma manera que me hacían hace un mes y medio.
So, being realistic, he knows that managers, although if managers' jobs are dependent on results, Valverde leaves the team that we're top of the table. We've been over that debate.
Yeah.
We're not going to rehash it now. Do you see a scenario where Zizou could find himself in a position where Ernesto Valverde was?
Yeah, it's called just being the manager of Real Madrid. I mean, like being the manager of Real Madrid, the seat never gets cold. It's always hot. The pressure is always high. Look, I don't know if it's trophy based this year with the injuries they've had and the fact that they're missing a backup to Benzema and some other issues. So I don't know if it's that, but they have to improve from last year. Now, usually that means a trophy, but they can't finish double digits behind Barcelona this season. I don't think they will. So we'll see what happens. But I think Zidane has bought himself at least this year. After next year, after this upcoming summer transfer window, and next year, if it doesn't go well, he might get sacked mid-season next year. But at least this year, he's safe and he's bought himself some time because of the Champions Leagues of the past.
See, I don't know if I agree with that. I think if it's a prolonged, spell of no trophies, which obviously Real Madrid are obligated to win virtually
When you say
everything
prolonged, like
three
3
seasons.
seasons?
I
Okay.
feel like Zizou and Florentino Perez are close, right?
Yeah.
Zizou is almost like a son to Florentino, according to the way the two men have spoken about each other. When Florentino needed somebody to step in after a disastrous campaign last season, going through 2 previous managers, starting with Julian Lopetegui, moving on to Solari, Zizou didn't have to come back in that scenario. It was a really tough situation to come into. And when he was asked, why did you come back? He said, because the club needed me, because Florentino Perez needed him. Do, by the way, send us your questions, your comments. We'll try and answer the best ones, the ones we can get to for George, for myself, just about what's coming up this weekend. Speaking of Real Madrid, they're going to be without Karim Benzema still, and without Lucas Vazquez, neither player making the call-up list for the match against Sevilla. They do have Benzema. They don't have Sergio Ramos, Fede Valverde, Gareth Bale, or Eden Hazard.
Right.
Benzema returns after missing the Supercopa, so that's good news for them. And they get back Lucas Vazquez, who hasn't played since November 9th and was one of sort of Zidane's favorite players because he was so disciplined on the right-hand side. Do you see Madrid running into any trouble at home against Sevilla? Sevilla, by the way, the best away side in La Liga this year.
They'll have their issues because Valverde is not playing. I've come to believe that the most 3 valuable players that Real Madrid have right now are Casemiro, Benzema, Federico Valverde. Without Valverde in that midfield, they've struggled. The case in point, they took him off the game. Zidane took him off of the pitch in that 2-2 draw against PSG. They were up 2-0, took off Valverde, and they came back, and the Parisians came back and got a point at the Bernabeu. Without Valverde, I think they're in a little bit of trouble here. And I know Kroos and Modric, I know they're fantastic. We all know that. But Valverde has raised his game. He has become invaluable in that midfield for Real Madrid. I think they'll miss him. I don't know if it's enough that they'll lose, but it wouldn't surprise me if Sevilla get a draw at the Bernabeu. It wouldn't surprise me because of Valverde's absence.
And again, Sevilla, so far the best away record in La Liga. It's their form at the Sanchez Pizjuan that's been so confusing.
Yeah.
I think they're like only 13th, bottom half of the table in their away form this year for Sevilla. But when they leave the Sanchez Pizjuan, which is the complete opposite of what they are historically, most teams are that. But I remember a season a couple years back where Sevilla went the entire season without a single home loss at the Sanchez Pizjuan. It's been a different kettle of fish altogether. But there is news on the Sevilla front as well because they're going to ship off Chicharito, it seems. We'll talk about that during the transfer portion of this. But they've already made a signing to replace Chicharito before he's even gone, and it's Leganes' Yusuf En-Nesyri, 22-year-old who signs for what is a club record sale for Leganes of $23 million,
around there,
which was right around the buyout clause. Sevilla have needed somebody to put in goals consistently. But it's a crisis they created themselves when they sold Vicent Ben Yedder back to Liga.
And Sarabia as well. Yeah. Sarabia as well. They sold him. Those 2 were fantastic. They keep them. They might be in first place because their home form would have been better because they have 2 guys that could finish. Yusuf En-Nesyri, from what I've seen, he's an excellent player. He scored a golazo, I believe, against Barcelona earlier this season. So he's a very good player. I think he's going to be more productive than Chicharito. So it's an upgrade at the backup striker position. But ultimately, Luke de Jong is going to have to start scoring goals somehow.
Yeah.
He's going to have to find a way to finish his chances. If he doesn't do that, Sevilla is going to, they're going to be in that podium race with Atleti for those Champions League spots instead of for the title.
Let's get to some of these comments because Paulo Monteiro chimes in. If Barcelona was having an average year, Madrid would have been double digits behind by now.
Having an average year.
If Barca were having an average year, Real Madrid would be double digit points behind. Well, keep in mind, I'm not sure I agree with that, but Barcelona did win 2 league titles under Valverde by double digits over not Real Madrid, but Atletico, who were second,
right.
And Madrid finished third. Both of those years, Danny Franco writes, Zidane started the season in that situation, the situation that Valverde found himself in. Mourinho's name started to fly all over the Bernabeu. There were sort of the ghosts of Jose Mourinho, almost like as a threat to the players. Shape up or we'll bring Mo back. Judge Patrick Alexis writes, Zidane and all opposing coaches love Valverde and are sad to see him leave, especially Jurgen Klopp. They all want the free gifts that Valverde was dishing out.
So the holes in the back line defensively, yeah.
Addition by subtraction with Valverde gone. But Von Gray, I bet Zidane is not happy that Valverde left. He just saw his La Liga trophy left with him.
People I don't know about that.
This to me is.
I don't think Zidane should be worried at all about who the manager of Barcelona is.
I can't wait to see Barca under Quique Setien because I loved watching Las Palmas under Quique Setien and Betis under Quique Setien. And I did catch some, believe it or not, Lugo under Quique Setien. Lugo promoted to the second division. My ancestry is from just outside of Lugo, small town in Galicia.
Okay.
So I was excited for that. But this to me is like the other guy syndrome. And you see it a lot in, for example, the NFL. When fans in the NFL aren't happy with their quarterback, they're like, give me the other guy. I don't care who the other guy is. I don't care if he's going to be better or worse. Just I don't want this guy. And they completely ignore the fact that it could be significantly worse. So Quique Setien is not a proven commodity by any means. Fans are just so happy to see Valverde. I think some fans are so happy to see Valverde gone that they almost don't care who the other guy was.
They wanted Valverde out after last year's debacle against Liverpool in the Champions League. Look, Quique Setien, I said it before on Sports Burst. He has to do better. If you're going to replace somebody, the expectation is you have to do better than the previous person. Let's see what happens. That means winning Champions League for me.
All right, very quickly, just an update on Chicharito because it looked as though a deal to send Chicharito from Sevilla to the LA Galaxy was supposed to get done on Wednesday, reportedly for about 9 million euro. Sevilla said not so fast. They reportedly want 11 million, so there's a 2 million difference. Carlos Vela is already trash talking at LAFC, says if Chicharito comes, he's going to lose. So Vela using it as a source of motivation.
Pay it, LA.
Just pay Sevilla.
Pay the extra $2 million because you're gonna get that money back in jersey sales and at the gate at LA Galaxy Stadium. I don't know the name of it anymore. I know LAFC play at Bank of California Stadium. Help me out, y'all. They're gonna get that money back in one game. So pay it. It's worth it.
All right, let's move on because we want to talk a little more La Liga, and we're going to do it with, well, not just La Liga, but looking ahead to the weekend with the game that we're going to be playing where we're going to manufacture some crises. We know how the European dailies can create crises out of anything. You lose 1 or 2 games in a row, and you're in a crisis, especially in Spain. So we'll begin with Spain. I need you to manufacture a crisis for me from this Real Madrid-Sevilla game. Either Real Madrid lose and go into a crisis, Sevilla lose and go into a crisis. What have you got?
If Sevilla lose, it'll be a crisis.
For Sevilla? For
Sevilla, yes. I don't think Real Madrid, if drop points, they just got the emotional victory in the Supercopa without Valverde in the lineup. I don't think it'll be a crisis at Real Madrid. But if Sevilla lose, I think if they lose, it could be a problem because this is a squad that is talented enough. They got off to a great start under Lopetegui, and now they find themselves in a situation, depending on some results, where they could be out of the top 4. So this is the crisis. Is for Sevilla, not so much Real Madrid.
I feel like it's also if it turns out to be a crisis, it's sort of a self-inflicted wound, right? Because yes, they sold Wissam Ben Yedder for 4 times what they paid to sign him.
Yeah.
But he's a proven goal scorer. He's top of the league on scoring charts at the moment.
He had like double-digit goals in Europa League or Champions League when they're
level with money is why. And Monchi is also why. It's a revolving door in Andalusia, and it's worked out for Sevilla, winning trophies by deconstructing and reconstructing title-winning sides. But I do feel like they would have distanced themselves from. They're currently tied with Atletico Madrid. They're in 4th, Atleti in 3rd. I feel like Ben Yedder could have been that. To put them just over the top and see Sevilla finish 4th. Let's go on to the next one. Barcelona and Granada. I think this one's easy. Manufacture a crisis for me out of the Barcelona-Granada match.
Dude, I don't even have to do much work on this one. If Barca don't win at home against Granada And remember, this is a revenge game because Granada beat them at the Nuevo Los Carmenes earlier this season. So if they do not win this game in Quique Setien's debut, it is a major crisis. I'm talking about we got like this. Like, oh my God, you lost at home to Granada on your debut, playing the style that all the Barca fans want you to play. So he better win, and I think he needs to win by 3 goals. I mean, they have to dominate this game and play attractive football, or else I think the crisis starts.
Yeah, well, remember, Pep Guardiola did not start out his Barcelona career winning either. I think it was Almeria that he dropped points against in his debut, and the Catalan papers started spinning with hey, this guy's not experienced enough, it's not going to go very well, and they went on to win 6 trophies in a single season.
And in trouble.
This one's going to be tough for you because, well, maybe not so tough. Liverpool and Manchester United play this weekend in the Premiership. Manufacture a crisis for me.
Oh man, I don't need to because Manchester United is already in crisis.
But they've been good against the top sides.
Yeah, they are 5th place. But they're 27 points ahead of Liverpool. I don't see no crisis here. Liverpool's going to spank them, and United's just going to continue to be mediocre at best.
And you are one of our hosts for the Turkish Super League show.
Yeah.
So Beşiktaş against league leaders Sivasspor, manufacture the crisis.
Okay, let me give you some advice from what I've learned about Turkish Super League.
Go on.
Beşiktaş, Fenerbahçe, Galatasaray, they lose one game, and it's always a crisis. So if Beşiktaş lose to Sivasspor surprisingly in first place. If they lose, it's a crisis. If they draw, it's a crisis. Those big 3 teams, when they don't win, it's a crisis all the time, pretty much.
So a perpetual crisis
pretty much.
Istanbul.
Yep.
Let's quickly move along to the. We promised some transfer talk, so we will begrudgingly talk about the winter transfer window, which we are just past the midpoint. So just 15 days or less than 15 days left for clubs to wrap up their dealing and wheeling. We know that Ashley Young is headed to Inter from Manchester United in a deal worth $1.5 million. Becomes the 3rd player to move from Old Trafford to San Siro in just the last half a year after Romelu Lukaku and Alexis Sanchez. Now Ashley Young under Antonio Conte.
Let's go. Good move in terms of the depth. They're not expecting him to be a great left back on the left side, just some depth for Inter Milan because of the situation with D'Ambrosio's injury. It's a good move. Provide some depth, provide some leadership. And they paid only $1.5 million. I think it's going to work out. It's going to be a solid move for them.
So he is leaving or has left Old Trafford, as you saw, pending that medical in Milan. Player on his way to Old Trafford, Bruno Fernandes of Portuguese club Sporting. A deal reportedly will get done, though it's not yet been finalized. 25-year-old Portuguese international Bruno Fernandes, a playmaker who would add to that midfield because they're without Paul Pogba and McTominay for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's from what I've seen. I haven't seen him play, but from what people who follow Portuguese football know, he's been very well. He's a very talented player. He could fit that midfield very well. Could be the core of the Manchester United midfield going forward because I think eventually they're going to have to sell Pogba. So that's a good move. I'm interested to see how he adjusted to the Premier League.
Now, if I'm not mistaken, you cover the NFL for Doha,
for Doha, right?
For MENA region. I'd like to get some predictions for you. We're 2 games away from the Super Bowl. We're into the conference championships.
Yep.
So who is your Super Bowl?
Man, history tells me Chiefs-Packers because the very first Super Bowl was the Chiefs and the Packers, and this is the 100th anniversary season.
Interesting.
But we know this as Dolphin fans down here. There's a quarterback in Tennessee who's surprised everybody with his play, and the Tennessee Titans have beaten the Chiefs the last 2 times they played, including one in a playoff game back in 2017. Now, it was a different coach, different quarterback, but still the same thing. You run the ball with Derrick Henry. He has about 400 yards, almost 400 yards in 2 games against the Chiefs. I see a surprise here. I think it's going to be Tennessee and the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Tennessee, so the opposite of what you started with.
Yeah. History says Chiefs-Packers, but I think Tennessee 49ers.
Interesting.
Yeah.
We do want you to join us later today because both George and I will be on the call for the first game of the second half of the La Liga season. It's an historic rivalry. In fact, it's called the Derby Histórico between Leganés and Getafe. These are 2 of the closest rivals in Spanish football. I think only Sevilla and Betis are closer geographically in Seville than Leganés. In fact, it's so close that a group of Getafe fans are expected to walk from the train station, Getafe Central, to Butarque for the match against
But
Leganés.
it's Europe. They walk everywhere.
Yeah, but it's about 5 miles. It's a 5 mile
Oh,
walk.
okay, 5 mile. Okay, yeah. With some good shoes and off the subway station, it's all right. Yeah.
You're going to want to watch this because it's a very, very heated rivalry, and it kicks off the second half of the season in Spain.
And Getafe is challenging for Champions League spots as well. So
That
yeah,
match
good team.
at 3 p.m. Today on beIN Sports again with George D. Metellus and myself. And then, of course, we've got on Sunday, Barcelona against Granada. On Saturday, Real Madrid against Sevilla from the Santiago Bernabeu. It's must-see TV on beIN Sports. We are fresh out of time, fresh out of sports on this edition of Sports Burst. For George D. Metellus, I'm Andres Cordero saying so long.